Hello.
Got to turn up the volume, it's one of those tricky things. Okay, I'm rocking this by myself, so I don't have any of that support staff that I'm usually used to whipping into shape. I thought you would be in Italy because the race was just over there, and then the next race is over there, isn't it?
No, the next race is in Japan.
Oh, that's right. So now you're halfway there.
Yep. Took a little break. So.
Still hotter than Blue Blazes in Texas?
It's not too bad with this whole hurricane stuff. It's starting to blow a lot of stuff through, and yeah, I mean I think it was low 90s today, so it's not too bad.
Okay, well, it's been a couple weeks since we chatted, so I've only got 6,000 questions, so this will only take a minute.
Okay.
Okay, so going all the way back to the fantastic finish at Indy, I mean, it was almost a perfect weekend for you. It seemed like the battle of the bumps. Who could overcome the bumps would do the best.
Yeah, I mean that track. It's not, it's definitely physical, and then you've got a couple bumps in some weird places, and it caught me out on Friday, and I went into one turn, the same turn that Valentino went down and Casey went down. Went in there, and I knew I basically had the corner before I had spun the rear tire up pretty big, and it made me kind of turn in a little bit tighter on the exit. So I entered the next corner about 5 feet to the left of my normal line, and I knew I was going to hit the bump, but I didn't figure I was pushing the front near hard enough where it was going to make a difference. And as soon as I hit the bump, the front was gone, and it was one of those things where if the bump wouldn't have been there, I wouldn't have fallen. But I chanced it and did, but yeah, then in the race it was you spent so much of the time trying to miss the bumps or miss that bump, and it was super hot and the bike was sliding around everywhere, and it was definitely one of the more physical races I've been in for sure.
When you did go down from that bump, you stood up and then you turned and noticed the bike and rushed over to the bike. Were you trying to keep it going or shut it off? What was going on there?
No, I just was getting to shut it off to save the engine, because I knew our bikes are pretty solid with that they can be on their side for a bit, because the way the fuel pump and all that kind of stuff is, but I mean the oil pump, but I definitely needed to get there as quick as I could to turn it off, because I wasn't really interested in, there's only 15 minutes left, so I wasn't trying to get back to the pit super quick and get on the other bike. I mean, I would have liked to, but it was more get over to the thing, shut it off so we don't toast the engine, and everything worked out fine.
Yeah, I guess in a race situation you would have tried to stand it up without it dying, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all I did was, I would have pulled in the clutch because it was still running, and actually it would have been able to keep going, but I went over to it, just shut the thing off, and as soon as I could, I lifted the bike up after I turned it off to get the oil all evenly through everything, and so it wouldn't kind of seize any parts up or anything like that.
Was that the bike you ultimately raced on?
I don't really know. I mean, I know it didn't tumble or anything. Since it was Friday, that probably would not have been the engine that I raced on. But in saying that, I probably raced that exact engine last weekend. So it's just all on a kilometer-based timeline, and there's no special engines, there's no anything like that. But the frame, I actually do think I raced that bike because I think the frame was scratched, and I saw it on the grid. I was like, I didn't get a new frame, did I? So I think I had to race that one.
Okay, I did have a chance to sneak into the garage there and at Laguna and check out your throttle, and it doesn't seem like it's a quarter turn, it seems like it's an eighth turn. You get to wide open throttle pretty darn quick.
Yeah, you do for sure. I mean, it's I think it is an eighth turn, and yeah, I mean, if you watch now the hand cameras that they have, it's pretty amazing. You can see, how quick we all go back to 100% throttle, but it would be kind of cool to show the camera view of the hand and then the camera view of where you're at in the corner when it's getting 100% throttle, because it's a lot earlier than you think, and it's it's pretty crazy. I mean, as soon as you're cracking open the gas, you know, when they show Casey's hand or Danny's hand, the thing basically goes to wide open throttle. And you know, if you could see that we're still in the corner when we're doing that, it's pretty amazing. But that's when you get involved with electronics and you know, why it's possible and all that kind of stuff.
I was watching the race on the BBC thing, and one of the commentators, you went into that same turn with the bump where you crashed, I think. You were still on the gas, and the bike stepped out. And
that was the corner before, and that was
okay.
that's what had happened to me that Friday, where I went through there and you know, it snapped out a little bit more than normal there, but usually you would definitely spin the bike through the turn. And what happened was it had spun a little bit more than normal, and it had turned the bike, and it had sent me into the corner a lot more inside than normal. But in the race when that happened, I think, you know, just the way the heat was, the way the tire was dropping, I just got back to the throttle too soon, and it stepped out a little bit, but it wasn't a big problem.
Did you modulate saving it with your wrist, or was that more like with an eighth turn of a throttle, it was more electronics was helped calm it down?
It's kind of, you know, a little bit of everything. It's a little bit of, you know, backing out of the throttle. The electronics on a slide like that don't really help as much, because the traction control is more, you know, on the progressive slide coming out of the corner. When you have a bike that snaps like that, it's not the electronics, it's just stopping it. But it does help a little bit. Again, it's a little bit of rolling out of the throttle, a little bit of standing the bike up kind of immediately, just a few different things that you got to do to get it back pretty smooth.
You mentioned about your pole lap that you put it all out there, and I was thinking, what does that mean? Does that mean like it was slipping and sliding and you were like, whoa, saving it on your knee, or was it you just went faster because you didn't crash last time, so maybe it'll stick this time? What does that really mean? Put it all out there.
Yeah, I mean, we in the session, you know, I saw we got up there and we were close to it. Bruno, we had just come from, you know, qualifying second, and anyway, got going up to speed and saw that we were close, and I was like, you know what, I need to be perfect, and I pretty much put together a perfect lap, and you know, and then a couple corners that it's not that I really went over the edge, but a couple of the corners where I knew that I was losing time, either to the other guys on the Yamahas or just on the splits. You know, I might have been fastest through T1 and I was like 8th or 9th through T2. So the corners that I knew that I was basically slow in, I just, you know, I went through there and kind of, if I had a little bit of a chatter, a little bit of a bad front feel, I just pretended, you know, it wasn't there and just went for it. And, you know, everything worked out pretty good. But then that, you know, being able to do that, then it got my confidence going for the race on Sunday, because Friday and Saturday morning we were going good, but we were, you know, 4th to 6th. And then after I did a couple of those real fast laps, it gave me the confidence to be able to do that lap in and lap out. And then it showed on Sunday.
As the race kind of wound down, you were catching Danny, or Danny was coming back to you a little bit. Did that spur you on? Did you think, oh, I could catch this guy?
It was a little bit of a, no, I knew I wasn't going to catch him, but I knew that he was coming back to me. He did have a gap that he could manage for sure, and that's obviously why he won, but he had no choice, I think, but to slowly come back. But having 4 or 5 seconds, he knew that he could take it easy a bit. But then also I had, you know, Jorge behind me that was getting pushed. I think it might have been Valentino that was behind him. I can't remember, but they were putting pressure on him. So he was only 2.5 seconds behind me, 3 seconds. And I got it back up a little over 3 seconds. And then he got it down to 2.8. So basically it was just, you know, we were kind of not playing with each other, but I was just trying to keep him out of, you know, getting towed from me. And I was trying to, you know, I knew I couldn't catch Danny because the way he was riding, how fast the bike was and things like that. But, you know, once I saw him kind of coming back to me, it made it easier for me to keep pushing and stay away from Lorenzo in the end.
I remember you saying one time, I can't remember when, I think it's when you were still back here in the States, that nobody is going to beat you on fitness. No one's going to beat you because they're more fit than you. And Pedrosa and Lorenzo after that race were like whipped, man. Pedrosa was like, I just want to go take a nap. And I was thinking, was it that tough for you?
Well, I mean, yeah, for sure. It's you know, and I don't think they slowed down at the end of the race because they weren't, you know, as fit or anything like that. You know, all I mean by that is that, you know, I show up to the race where, you know, fitness is not going to be an excuse for me. I'm not going to say I'm going to beat, you know, everybody out there because, you know, I'm fit. I mean, at the end of the day, you're riding the bike for 40, you know, 42, 45 minutes. It's not, you know, yeah, you get a little bit tired, but you're not going to really go backwards because your fitness. All the guys in MotoGP work out; they're all fit. You know, I just mean when I'm in a battle, you know, with a guy, or it's 5 to go and it's a hard, hot race, and you start getting a little bit fatigued. That, you know, I'm not gonna lose it because I'm not in shape. It's more just because I wasn't fast enough. So it's you know, that's what I mean by that. But you know, yeah, it was a tough race for all of us. I mean, it might have been a little bit less, you know, for me because of kind of the stuff I do, but also it's not like it makes me Superman either, where, you know, I'm going to be able to put, you know, when the tire has no grip, it doesn't matter how fit you are. If you can't, you know, if you can't get the bike out of the corners because it's sliding, you know, it doesn't matter. You can only go as fast. In that situation, the last 5 laps, I mean, we're really only going as fast as the bike will let us because the tire is so hot, it's lost so much rubber and things like that.
There's a fuel limit, and we hear that the fuel is, the engine management will detune your bike to save fuel. Have you run into that at all? Have you started to run out of fuel and the bike slowed down?
You know, no, we haven't really got to that point. You know, we have been at the point where, you know, like on the warm-up lap, they tell me don't rev the bike over 8 grand. Or 9 grand, 10 grand, whatever. Just take it easy, basically. But then it's extremely hard to get the tires heated up when you have to do that. Or, you know, do you want to start out, you know, with a little bit different of a map where you save more fuel, or do you want to go to that in the end? Things like that. I mean, it's but we really hadn't had too much of a problem. I mean, it kind of comes down to more, you know, just take it easy on the warm-up lap, and it's going to be really close at the end. But, you know, I haven't had the bike really slow down at the end of the race because of it.
Okay, last Indy question. When they showed you on pole, lined up, ready to go, the yard of bricks was like a yard in front of your front tire. And I thought, holy crap, he has to put all that power down, and in a nanosecond, you're going to be on those bricks. Did you feel it? Did it break loose, or would it feel funny going over the bricks? No? Same?
No, didn't even feel it. I didn't even know they were a foot ahead of me. I never even looked.
Well, maybe we should just go back to bricks then. It's probably cheaper. It's probably cheaper.
Exactly.
San Marino, was there anything? San Marino was a good race. Wasn't a bad race. It was a good race. Was there anything remarkable that came out of that for you?
No, I was pretty frustrated there because we had a good bike. We had, you know, I can't remember even. I think we finished 6th there. You know, I think we had a battle. We could have battled in the top 5, but my race was basically over in the first 2 turns. I just kind of bogged the bike on the start, and I tried to be as safe as I could. But, you know, we've seen turns 1 and 2 there bite a couple people out with Nick. You know, I got Nick 2 years now, I guess, in a row, and one for sure wasn't his fault. And then this year, I think it was just him and Loris were on 2 different paths. And so it's a tricky turn 1 and 2. And I was just too careful. And, you know, I came around in the first lap out of the top 10, and I had to fight my way through. And by the time I kind of caught up to Colin, got by Colin, you know, there wasn't anybody in sight, and they had 10 seconds on me. And you know, I could see that me and Casey on the pit board were running the same lap times. So it wasn't really anything special. I mean, I got to make some good passes, but other than that, once we got into 6th place, I really just tried to put a little bit of time on you know, Colin, and once I got it to, you know, like 2.5, 3 seconds, it was just tried to manage it, because it's not like I'm going to close 10 seconds on Casey in 15 laps, and I didn't want to throw it away being an idiot. So it was just kind of, you know, it was actually a pretty boring race and frustrated, but it wasn't, you know, we did everything we could. I just, my race was done kind of in the very beginning.